Neither message offers a description of masculine nature. The first says masculinity is a problem to be fixed. The second says you're a performance metric waiting to be improved. Both leave you without a coherent account of yourself, of what you're for, of what a fully functioning man actually looks like, of what you're oriented toward beyond avoiding harm on the one side and maximizing output on the other. The crisis of modern masculinity is not a crisis of men. It's a crisis of description. Men are being handed accounts of themselves that are either too small, too hostile, or too therapeutic to be useful, and they know it, even when they don't have the language to say so. The restlessness, the confusion, the sense that something is off. These are not symptoms of a broken generation of men. They are the predictable response of men who have been given inaccurate maps. This episode is about the map. Specifically, it's about why virtue ethics, a tradition 2.5 millennia old, preserved in classical philosophy and deepened in the Christian tradition, provides something the culture currently doesn't. An account of what a man actually is, rather than just a list of what he should and shouldn't do. Modern men are navigating a landscape shaped by two dominant and largely opposed messages about what they are and what they should become. The first message is essentially hostile. Masculinity, as culturally constructed, is toxic, a set of conditioned behaviors producing aggression, emotional suppression, dominance, and harm. The avatar for this message is the Marlboro Man, or Thomas Shelby from Peaky Blinders. The solution is deconstruction. Unlearn what you are taught, dismantle the structures, become something softer and less dangerous. I'm not inventing this framing. It's been the dominant register of the cultural conversation about men for the better part of 30 years. And it contains something true. Some of what men were handed as masculinity was indeed harmful to themselves and to others. But the prescription, deconstruction without reconstruction, the dismantling of masculine identity without offering anything coherent in its place, has produced a couple or three generations of men who are confused, isolated, and rudderless. And that serves nobody. Is it any wonder so many young men today are withdrawn, sullen, and resentful? Robert Bly was complaining about soft males 40 years ago. It was one of the reasons he wrote Iron John way back when. And how much has changed. The second message is essentially commercial. Your masculinity is a project. Optimize it, track it, quantify your testosterone, your sleep, your heart rate variability, your morning routine. Sign up for the program that will give you the edge, the discipline, the results. Become a better version of yourself, by which we mean a more productive, more physically imposing, more financially successful version of yourself. This message is less hostile than the first, and it's not without value. Discipline, physical development, and financial responsibility are great. I pursue them myself. But it isn't enough. It reduces a man to his outputs. It answers the question, what should a man do, without first asking, what is a man? And that ordering matters enormously because what you think a man is determines what you think he should become. Neither message offers a description of masculine nature. The first says masculinity is a problem to be fixed. The second says you're a performance metric waiting to be improved. Both leave you without a coherent account of yourself, of what you're for, of what a fully functioning man actually looks like, of what you're oriented toward beyond avoiding harm on the one side and maximizing output on the other. I will say, by the way, that I have heard we need to redefine masculinity more times than I can count, and I find every one of the attempts repugnant. Women change the length of their skirts and their hairstyles, while men are expected to change their entire personalities. You cannot redefine what a man is any more than you can redefine what an oak tree is. The oak is what it is by nature. Men are what we are by nature. What we can do, and what the tradition has always done, is describe that nature more or less accurately and cultivate the conditions under which it can become fully what it is, under which it can flourish. That is a very different project from redefining what a man is to satisfy a fleeting cultural preference or to sell him your version of cool, updated masculinity. Jack Donovan, in his book The Way of Men, draws a distinction that I find analytically useful regardless of what you may make of his broader project. He distinguishes between being a good man and being good at being a man. Being good at being a man, in Donovan's account, is about the primal masculine virtues: strength, courage, mastery, and honor. The things that have made men useful and effective across human history, regardless of cultural. Being a good man adds the moral and relational dimension: integrity, care, justice, and responsibility to others. The distinction is worth holding because you can fail in either way. The man who is good at being a man, but isn't a good man, is capable and competent, yes, but he can also be ruthless, self-serving, and dangerous to those around him. The man who is a good man, but not good at being a man, may be morally attuned, but he'll likely be ineffective, passive, or unable to translate his goodness into action or protection or provision. Think Robert Bly's soft male and Robert Glover's nice guy. Neither is the finished product. What the classical virtue tradition offers is a description of a man who is both, and not as a compromise between the two, but as an integration that transcends both. The virtuous man is not the sensitive guy who happens to be capable, nor the capable guy who happens to be sensitive. He is a man whose character is fully ordered, courageous, prudent, self-controlled, and just. A man who is calm, compassionate, clear-thinking, and generative. These are not the virtues of a nice guy. They are the virtues of a formidable man. And when those virtues are put in the service of something beyond himself, well, I think you come close to a masculine ideal. Virtue ethics, as Aristotle developed it, as the Stoics transmitted it, as the Christian tradition deepened it, offers men something neither of the dominant cultural messages can provide. First, it offers a description of human nature rather than a set of prescriptions. Virtue ethics doesn't begin by asking what you should do. It begins by asking what you are. What kind of a thing is a human being? What is a man's nature, his capacities, his characteristic functions? And what does it look like when those capacities are fully actualized? This is Aristotle's method, and it is also, as many of the Christian fathers assert, the method of the Christian tradition. The virtues are not impositions from outside. They aren't Big Daddy or the government or some preacher telling you how you ought to behave. They're natural to us, inherent. They're what a man looks like when he is functioning optimally as he is meant to function. This is a deeply different starting point from either the toxic masculinity account, which treats masculine nature as a problem, or the optimization account, which treats masculine nature as raw material to be improved. Virtue ethics says your nature is good. Cultivate it toward its proper end. Second, virtue ethics offers a standard that transcends cultural fashion. The four cardinal virtues, courage, self-control, prudence, and justice, are part of the heritage of Western civilization. They emerge in Greek philosophy in 5th century Athens, are carried forward in Stoic thought. They even appear in the late wisdom literature of the Old Testament and in the Christian tradition East and West. St. Ambrose calls them cardinal, from cardo, meaning a hinge, because all the other virtues turn on them. They're not fashionable, they are not subject to redefinition. They describe something about human nature that was true before the internet and will be true after whatever comes next. Third, it offers a telos, a direction. Aristotle's ethics is teleological. It's oriented toward an end. The end is eudaimonia, human flourishing, the full actualization of what a man is for. Not happiness in the thin modern sense of feeling good or being happy, but the deep satisfaction of a life that is fully and characteristically human. A man who knows what he's for, whose life is oriented towards a genuine end, is a man who can make sense of sacrifice, of difficulty, and those seasons in his life when there isn't much else that feels rewarding. The man without a telos has no such resource. St. John of Damascus, writing in the 8th century, says something that I find serves as a kind of summary of everything I just argued. He says, "The virtues which we ascribe to the soul are primarily the four cardinal virtues: courage, prudence, self-control, and justice. These give birth to the other virtues of the soul: faith, hope, love, prayer, humility, gentleness, etc." He calls them the virtues we ascribe to the soul, not the virtues we impose on the soul from outside, not the virtues we invent or redefine for a particular cultural moment, the virtues that belong to the soul by nature. This is the Christian anthropological claim, and it is also the Aristotelian one. The virtuous man is the natural man, not an impossible ideal, not a cultural construct, the actual thing functioning as he was made to function. For men who carry the Christian faith, this is confirmation. For men who don't, it's an invitation. The tradition you may not yet inhabit has been saying something about you that's worth knowing. So here is the reframe this show is built on, stated as plainly as I can put it. You are not a problem to be solved. You are not a set of conditioned behaviors to be deconstructed. You are not a performance metric to be optimized. You are a man with a nature and capacities, with an orientation toward a genuine end, and the work of your life is to become fully what you already are in seed form. The virtues are not additions to your nature. They are the actualization, the fulfillment of it. That is what this series is about. Not fixing you, forging what's already there. Before the next episode, the sentence to finish. When I imagine a man who is fully what a man is meant to be, the quality I see most clearly in him is... When I imagine a man who is fully what a man is meant to be, the quality I see most clearly in him is... As always, don't give me the proper answer. Give me the true one. That quality, whatever came up, is telling you something about where the forging needs to happen first. In the next episode, we move from the foundation of courage into the first of the four masculine archetypes, the warrior, and what it means for you to embody disciplined action in service of something genuinely worth fighting for. Not aggression, not performance, the real thing. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Like the episode if you would. Pass it on to another man who might benefit from it, and leave a comment below. I'll see you next week. The forge is open.